Hey everyone, thanks for joining. I'm your host Chris Gennaro, and today we have Mike from Wode. How you doing?
Yeah, doing good. Good to be here.
Cool. I think we're just going to get started off with your new album. It came out in April. Burn in Many Mirrors. It's your third full length on 20 Buck Spin. And I guess just as a general question, let's just talk about the recording process. And I know it was sort of like over a year in the making. And I know this is something we've been hearing a lot about delays and other things, but I guess let's just talk about that.
Yeah, I mean the writing probably took a couple of years, sort of in between tours. I think wrote the first song in 2018, and yeah, pretty standard sort of process. And then we came to record beginning of no, it's like March 2020. Did a few days drum tracking, and then the lockdown in the UK hit, so we had to stop. The studio had to close. We had all the drums down and some bass, so it was kind of we put a bit of scratch guitar just because we had a feeling that it would be the last time we'd see each other for a bit. So yeah, we got the bounces back, and we were just able to listen to that, which was really helpful. Over the next few months, we had no idea when we'd be able to carry on, but yeah, we were all listening to everything individually and working on our own parts and coming up with some new ideas. And then we were able to get back to the studio. I think it was about July, August of last year to finish sort of the last. Yeah, it took another couple of weeks, I guess, in there. And then there was a bit of delay, just trying to get the mix right. I think we had actually 20 Buck Spin wanted to put it out like November last year, but yeah, various delays, not just the recording but other stuff, kind of meant it came out this year, which was fine by us. Really wasn't a big problem.
Yeah, I mean it's got to suck like sitting on stuff, especially stuff that you're proud of. Just be
Yeah,
like, I need to get that out. But what did you guys? Were there any things specifically that you can remember being able to change or work on in that time that you sort of were forced to sit on it? You said you were listening to stuff. Was there
yeah,
anything that you were like, oh shit, maybe it was good that we had a time to like sort of tinker with this or that?
yeah, definitely. It was the last song, because that was, we kind of we when we go in to record something, we usually book it before we finished the final song, just to give us like a bit of motivation to get it all down, and so it doesn't drag on too long. So maybe that song was a little bit not quite there when we went in initially, but then the months that passed, we were working on everything. I worked on a lot of like the lyrics and ideas for vocal delivery. Tim, who's our drummer as well, but he plays guitar on the recordings, he wrote these really great solos for the end, which I don't think he had originally. Yeah, and just other synth parts and stuff like that.
So wait, so Tim played some guitar on there?
Tim, yeah, Tim and I write a lot of the songs together. And we started as a two-piece, so it was more necessity. He was playing drums, I was playing guitar, but yeah, he writes a lot on guitar and records a good chunk. Dan, our guitarist, he recorded most of the second guitar, but there's some parts that Tim had written that he wanted to do. Yeah, and live he just drums, and yeah.
Cool. And I know Danny was a late addition to the band. I think this was his first album, if I'm correct. And it sounds like Carl, when he left, and I'll let you talk about it. But I just, in knowing some stuff about the band, that he just had to leave, and that you had worked with Danny on your other band. So I guess talk about just getting him involved.
Yeah, it was. We had a tour of Europe. I think it was 2017, and everything had been good with Carl, but he just recently had his first child, so he couldn't do the tour, unfortunately. And then we got Dan in, who me and Tim play in our other band, Aggressive Effector. We've been doing that for about 6 years or something like that. So we just knew him. It was, it made sense. We know what he's about. We know he could do it, and he likes the music. So yeah, I think it's probably, we've always found it's best to get someone in as a new member rather than just look elsewhere, because the chemistry is almost as important as the ability to do it, I think. So yeah, got Dan in, did the tour, and then everything since then, really, it's been really good.
Cool. You were talking a little bit about the last song on the album. I think it struck me, that song, because I had read some of your influences, and one you mentioned was Dead Can Dance. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, that beginning of that song like totally makes sense to me now,
I think it's almost, Tim came up with that part, and I think it's very, very close to something off The Realm of a Dying Sun. I've seen a lot of the reviews, and people say it's like John Carpenter or like dungeon synth, and that wasn't what we were going for, really. It was Dead Can Dance, but I'm glad you got
that. I'm a big fan. I actually had tickets to see Dead Can Dance, and they canceled their tour recently, which
same here.
Yeah,
it's just been rescheduled for next April, but yeah, we've had them for like 2 years.
Yeah, the tickets, it's probably the same tour that I was going to go see in New York. And it's just, I'm just kind of like, everybody was thinking that it was going to go away like SARS and a couple of the other COVID strains from years past, and now I'm just like, this is just the fucking world we live in now, so
yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it changes so often here. You got concerts back and gigs as normal? Is it over there?
As normal? I mean, it's starting to come back. It started to come back, I'd say a couple months ago. I haven't been out to a concert yet, but my wife just went, and she was like, yeah, it feels a little weird and everybody's wearing masks. I mean, she's not into death metal or anything, but a concert nonetheless. I'm seeing stuff. I've been meaning to go out and see a show. I'll have to report back and let you know like how weird it's going to be. I mean, I think, in my youth, I remember just going to shows and being like pressed up against people and like on this, and crazy. Those years are long gone for me. So I'm a little bit more okay, in my later years to be socially distanced. But it's going to be crazy to see like if people are still doing that type of like, let's all sweat on each other at the front of the stage type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we played a couple of times. It's kind of, you don't really have to wear a mask even, and it's like normal capacity, but we're not that type of band where everyone's kind of, in the pit or whatever, so everyone's got a bit of space. But yeah, it felt okay. It felt strange, the first one, and then I guess you slowly just get used to it coming back.
You mentioned a little bit about your tour. You played with Wolves in the Throne Room, I think, for one of the tours, and that tour seems to make a lot of sense because they have sort of the black metal thing going on, that you have a little bit. I mean, a lot of it, maybe, depending on how you look at it. So tell me a little bit about that tour and how that went.
Yeah, that was really good. We just sort of, the band's been around for like 10 years, but we only sort of seriously did like tours that were more than a few days kind of 4 or 5 years ago. So we did a couple of times in Europe, and then we came back from Europe and got this offer from their booking, which was like 6 days, I think, in the UK. And yeah, it was just cool. Like the biggest kind of venues we played mostly. And I think, you know, the crowd, it did seem to make sense in terms of the fan base kind of reacting well to us. And they were really good people, Wolves in the Throne Room. Yeah, it was just like, it was really good to be involved.
So yeah, I mean, I did notice going, you know, when I was looking back at sort of the dates of your albums, there was a big lag between your demo and your first record. I don't think that's unusual, because I think a lot of times bands need time to sort of figure it out and you know, get those contacts and get their shit together. But what, you know, was there something else that happened between like 2011 and 2016 that made you think, oh shit, like let's maybe start putting more into this and taking this a little bit more seriously?
I mean, I think it's just getting out of that mindset of, you know, just playing every now and then. We constantly working on things, and maybe there was a time when not everything was coming together, but then there were other times when it worked really well. I think, yeah, just the first hurdle was just to get the album down, and at that point, you know, we didn't have a lot of label interest really. We'd had a guy get in touch with us a couple of years before, Broken Limbs Records. I think it's from New York actually. It's now gone now, but yeah, he got in touch. So we had that contact, and we were just like, we've got these songs, so let's record them. We'll pay for everything ourselves, get it done, get it finished and mastered, and then we'll just send it to this one guy who had expressed interest. And then from there, I think we recorded most of that album like 2014. So there was a delay of a couple of years, just logistical stuff, getting it out, in which time we were kind of able to, we had a lineup change where Carl came into the band, and then that added just a big level of productivity. So we kind of wrote most of the second album before the first one had even come out.
Yeah, and I guess that would explain, you know, the time lag, and then your first and second albums coming out within like a year or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't just like finish and then write it in 6 months or whatever. It probably took 2 years, but yeah, it looks like that when you look at the dates.
Talking about your first album, it's probably a good segue into the album art that I was sort of interested in. I think we end up talking about art on this channel a lot, because I love dark art and stuff, and I do sort of miss the days when you sort of associated every band with an album cover, and now it just sort of doesn't feel that way anymore. But I always thought your first album cover was really cool, and then, you know, I'm glad I got a chance to sort of dive into it, because I didn't realize that it was but I know I said I'm gonna murder this dude's name. I've known him. I know his work forever.
Yeah.
Betskinsky.
Yeah, Beksinski. Yeah.
No, because like I mean, I was always a fan of like Giger and stuff, and I think he was sort of had something to do with Giger's studio or something. I have to check my thing, like Morpheus Entertainment or something, like whatever it was. But so I think he's passed away. I think he died, I want to say in like the mid 2000s, 2005.
Yeah, around then.
So how did you end up getting the license for that artwork? Because I saw a note that you guys did get it. So like that seems like crazy to me that they would be cool with that, or that you could have like that you could work that out. So how did that all come about?
Well, yeah, I mean, we had this painting in mind for quite a long time, because it just sort of, it had always just been somewhere in our minds when we were writing, and you know, some of the songs relate to it on that first album. So it kind of, it almost felt like we had to make it happen somehow. And obviously, you know, bands have used Beksinski's art for a while after his death as well. So we had to do quite a lot of research to find out how to get the license. And I first was put in touch with a guy in Paris who I think was a friend of his who had some of his collection. And he passed me on to the historical museum in Sanoku in Poland, which houses most of it, I think. And they, yeah, simply, I asked them if we could use a license, and they agreed. We agreed a fee, and that was it, really. Yeah, it wasn't like, I think, you know, he's well known in Poland and probably amongst people who are into metal and stuff, but he's I think he's a very underrated artist in like the wider art world. I mean, not that anyone should really care about that too much, but I guess that's kind of why, yeah, the license wasn't like ridiculously expensive or anything. It was pretty easy to get for us.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, I would think that more bands would do that, but I guess they probably assume that it's going to be a ridiculous amount of money, and it's kind of cool that they were able to work with you for a reasonable amount. Like, I mean, I'm sure you didn't mortgage your house for this thing, so you know, it
was very reasonable. And you know, I think just with that album, it felt it would fit to have something that a pre-existing piece of art. But I think, you know, in future, and we have in the other albums, we've got stuff commissioned just because maybe we didn't even really know who to go to back then. But I think, you know, we have like, I really am interested in the artistic side of it, and I do all the layout and stuff like that. So I have like a big folder of artists who are working now, and you know, we look through that and see who would work for the future albums that we're going to do. So yeah, that's always been a good process working with artists as well.
Cool. Well, I guess let's just talk about the new album then. And you know, you've got sort of that triptych thing going on. So talk about maybe how that came about, and finding the guy, Santiago. I'm looking at my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, we liked his cover that he did for Stargazer, Merging to the Boundless, from a few years ago. It's just very weird, very strange sort of painting. Yeah, he was like top of the list of people we wanted to work with for this, because it felt that kind of style would suit what we were trying to express with the lyrics and stuff. So yeah, we just got in touch with him, and then he prefers to like send voice messages rather than typing so much, so we kind of communicated a lot that way. But he didn't, we had an idea which was based on another painting, William Blake kind of thing, with a triptych. And we sort of gave that to him and said, oh, we want something like this. He was like, I can't do that for you. I have to, yeah, I think, you know, he didn't, some artists will kind of take direction, but not Santiago. He just wanted to, you know, read the lyrics and get immersed in it, and then just paint it from instinct. But there's the triptych thing stayed because that was pretty central to our idea, but everything else is his interpretation of the lyrics. Yeah, like, so the spine in the center is from Vanish Beneath, one of the songs. Yeah, but we loved what he did. He did a great back cover painting as well, which we were thinking about using for the front, but it kind of worked more on the back. But yeah, everything he did was like absolutely captured to the spirit. better than, you know, us just saying, oh, make it like this. Because I don't think, you know, like an artist doesn't really want to be, especially if you're working in that kind of medium, I don't think you want to be told where to land every brushstroke. You know, he has to do it his own way. So yeah, we were really happy with it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And I think it's super awesome that he was invested in it enough to really go through the lyrics and stuff and give you something, you know, you know, really custom tailored to your stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess we touched upon some influences. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about that. I always think it's interesting sort of listening back after I've heard people say things, you know, about what their influences were and seeing if I can pick up little bits and pieces. You know, I've seen lists of yours that I think you mentioned, like Merciful Fate and Paradise Lost. I definitely, you know, during Lunar Madness, the first song on your latest one, I definitely picked up some Paradise Lost in there. You mentioned Morbid Angel, though. I don't pick up a ton of Morbid Angel, but I guess I don't want to, you know, you let me know. I'm curious about some of your influences and where this stuff lands and how you incorporate it.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you just get asked, name some bands that you like. But no, some of those are true, I guess. I think when we're writing, we kind of, you know, we don't really like set out to go, let's make something that sounds like this or that. It's more like, you know, often it's something that you sort of realize with hindsight, a certain part will sound like a band, and then it kind of becomes that, you know, for ease of communication, it becomes, oh, the Paradise Lost part or whatever, the Celtic Frost part. So, you know, I don't know, I guess we just like, we all listen to a lot of different stuff and we all share stuff all the time. So it's more, yeah, it's a case of like, I guess it's coming in there somehow and you're playing stuff and then it'll just become what it is. I don't know. Yeah, but I think definitely, you know, from the beginning, we were always like black metal influence and like the melodic side of that. We always loved Dissection, but I guess it's become, you know, as more things come into the music, it's I think we kind of look more towards like different scenes of black metal and death metal, you know, like maybe like the Italian stuff, Mortuary Drape, and the Swiss bands, Celtic Frost, Samael, and then just a lot of heavy metal, because that's what we all agree on. We love that stuff. I think that's where a lot of the melodic parts come from.
Like the nostalgic, like 80s, 90s stuff, like that type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The Nwabum stuff. And like we just, Tim and Ed, they play in like a really great heavy metal band called Heavy Sentence, who just put an album out, and I think it's really in like Motorhead, Thin Lizzy style, that kind of harmonies and stuff. And I think maybe some of that's bled into Wode a little bit more on this album. But yeah, I mean, we've never been like one of these sort of, you know, discordant atonal bands. We want to kind of like bring melody and as well as aggression and, you know, the darkness as well. Yeah.
Cool. I've only been to England once, unfortunately. I did actually catch a show there, so you know, it felt not that different from being in the States at a show. So I mean, that was like super cool to at least be able to catch a show in England. I guess tell me a little bit about like your experiences with the scene, where you like to play in England, and maybe who are the bands that you like to play with.
Yeah, I mean, where we're from, Manchester, it's kind of not a great scene, to be honest. We kind of there's good places and good people, but there's not a ton of bands. I think like the bands that are our friends are kind of the ones that we tend to play with most. Yeah, but
Who are those? Let's throw out some plugs.
Well, yeah, I guess Aggressive Perfector is another band that a few of us do. Heavy Sentence, I said already. Yeah, there's a band from Manchester, Burial, who are good. But yeah, there's a ton of like great bands elsewhere in the country.
Yeah, I feel like I see a lot of people from Leeds all the time.
Leeds.
Yeah, I
Leeds
think.
is
Yeah.
a good scene.
Is it Boom Leeds? I think is one of the big clubs out there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Boom used to be called the Temple of Boom. That's good. We played there before. Manchester has a great venue, the Star and Garter, which we're playing next week, which is our album launch party. 7 months later, but still. Yeah, there's great places. The Black Heart in London is another one. Our friends in Sheffield have a venue which is there just getting started. Well, they had to shut down, but they've moved. It's called the Lug Hole. It's a great place to play. It's a small country, but there's great places to play in a lot of different cities, and some good bands as well. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the ones who are around right now. I really like the band called Craven Idol from London. They've just put an album out, which is great. New Grave Miasma is pretty good. Yeah, there's people doing stuff. There's definitely people doing stuff.
Cool. Yeah, and like for anybody familiar with our interviews and stuff, I usually try to stick the links in the description so people can check that stuff out and click through and discover some new music and things. I don't know. That's like my idealistic idea for like doing the show and getting all these bands to sort of cross pollinate and stuff. I always think that really strengthens the scene up a little bit. Okay, cool. I think let's just end with like maybe talking about what you got planned for Wode in the future. Obviously, if you're just doing your record release party, you're still probably like, yeah, man, our album just came out. But is there any thought about like what's next?
Yeah, a lot actually. Very, very recently, we've just begun writing what will be the next album, I guess. Because the time we put the album out in April, so we've only played 2 shows since then. We would normally have tried to do a tour or 2, so we've had a lot of time to kind of come up with new ideas. So on last Friday we kind of got most of the basics of a new song down, which I think is going to be really good and a little different to the other stuff. And then we were just showing each other bit more doomy kind of, some sort of, I think, a bit more of a like King Crimson influence almost on some of the bits as well. I don't know. It's still taking shape, but it's going to be good, I think. And then me and Tim had like about 6 or 7 ideas for other songs we showed each other the other day, and it's like each one has the potential to be really good. So that will be the next step, really. We just continue writing every week, and then we're playing a few other shows and festivals. We've got some tours lined up for next year, but the focus is definitely on new stuff.
It's hard not to listen to your catalog and then realize, oh shit, every album actually has 6 songs. I mean, they're longer songs, so but what happens when you got 7 songs?
The next album will have more than 6 songs.
Oh really? Okay.
I think Yeah, that's the formula has been exhausted, the 6-song formula, and it's 3 6s, I suppose, which is whatever you want to
So now
say about
you're like, oh, we did our 3 6s, and so that's mission accomplished.
that's that. We'll the next one might have another extra song on. We're going to aim for 8 songs, I think, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, so you're even that far along with the planning where you're like, okay, this is maybe how it's going to break out or something, even though like I assume this stuff's not written, but it's even maybe just the ideas and stuff.
Yeah, it's a little different. I guess probably just because we've had so much time to ourselves to work on things. You know, the last album we kind of just did everything one by one, got all the songs down together in the room. But this time, I think we're kind of, yeah, we've got a lot of ideas. It seemed like there's probably at least 6 things that feel like their own song rather than just parts of other songs, and a lot of variety in there, because I think we're probably at the stage as a band where, you know, I don't really care too much about fitting into a genre or whatever. We're kind of we've been doing it for 10 years. Like, it's, if people don't think we're a black metal band anymore, that's fine. Maybe we're not, but yeah. So there's some pretty out there stuff from what Tim was playing to me, and the songs of mine are a little different. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see it all come together.
Do you ever use any stuff to, like, while you're writing it, to like get the ideas down, like recording equipment, or do you have a digital audio workstation that you maybe mess with stuff prior to going in and recording the album?
No, not really. Tim records stuff on GarageBand just to send over with like a drum, and I just record it on my phone because I'm a technophobe.
Just like, here you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and usually not even through an amp. But no, I think we really enjoy like the, you know, working together as a band and like getting it down between us and the chemistry of that. And then we'll always go into a studio just to demo a couple of tracks before we'd go in to record the album properly, just so you can hear things with a bit more clarity, you know, and figure out what's working and what might need changing. But yeah, it's all like pretty straightforward.
Have you talked to 20 Buck Spin about stuff? Like, do you like, is that where you're going with your next one, or is that still up in the air?
Yeah, we're doing, the next one is with 20 Buck Spin. Yeah.
Are they going to go? You mentioned that Broken Limbs wasn't around anymore. Is 20 Buck Spin going to be able to get any, or have they done any pressings of anything else besides the latest?
Well, yeah, they just repressed the latest one, which had just come out, and we vinyl pressing is like a year now.
Yeah, I've been hearing the same thing at
the moment, but they're going to do our first album. I don't think that might be the first time anyone's heard that, but yeah, it's going to happen. So
I love to break news here.
Exclusive, but don't tell Dave I told you at 20 Buck Spin. But yeah, that's going to come out. The second album, I think, will be repressed by Avant-Garde again.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a while off. It's definitely sort of next year.
Cool. Okay, I'm sort of out of my notes and stuff, but I think we covered a lot of ground here. Yeah. Really appreciate you coming on. You know, I'll keep tabs on your Facebook. I think you have a Facebook page. I think Bandcamp is usually where I get most of your stuff from.
Yeah, we got Facebook and Instagram, but it's whatever. Bandcamp is the best.
Yeah, Bandcamp is the best. I think it's sort of revolutionized sort of the whole indie scene, and
Yeah.
Really
Yeah, I
happy
agree.
to like find tons of stuff on there. Yeah, so I really appreciate you coming on, and you know, I'll post news from you guys on my silly little Facebook page when I get it, and appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Chris. Yeah, enjoyed it.
Thanks, Mike.
Cheers.
Cool. Bye.